Good morning, Oakwood. It is Friday, August 14th. It's our 78th day of drawing together. It's our last day of working on perspective. Well, we'll always use perspective, but today is our dedicated day to perspective. So today we are talking about scale in art. And so I found some images that I found really fun. And I like when I see an image of a dog that looks gigantic in comparison to their owner. So I wanted to share a couple of those with you. And that's what I'm going to work on today. So, with the trick of a camera and the position of a dog versus the people in the dog's life, the dog can look gigantic. So, here is an image. I hope you can see that. So, the dog is running, but the people in the background, sorry, the light is not going to cooperate with us to make the dog look gigantic. This really is just a small dog, and those people are much, much taller, but the position of the dog and where the person is taking the photograph from make the dog look gigantic. I'll show you a couple of others. They're kind of fun. Yes, I think they are, that different perspective. Here's one I thought was really fun. Hope you can see it. It's a dog. It looks like it's going after this toy kettlebell. So you've got the dog here. It's going to bite. So this photographer caught the dog in action. It's chasing after this kettlebell, which was probably rolling. And in the background, there's a smaller dog. But probably in reality, that dog is the same size as this dog, but it looks like this dog is going to eat that dog. So I like that use of playing with perspective, something in the foreground, something in the background. And it looks like something is very, very tiny. You can do that when you like have someone stand back on the horizon line, further back from you, and you put your fingers like this. It can make you look like here. Look at that. I can hold that little girl's face right in my hand, but in reality, she's almost 2 feet tall. She looks like she's about 2 inches tall, but it's really that she's 2 feet. Or that little tiny bird. The bird looks really, really tiny because I'm in the foreground here and that bird is in the background. Looks like I can hold it that tiny, but really, again, that bird is, 5 or 6 inches tall and not that big. Okay, so I want to show you another one here. Oh, here's one that I didn't see before. So, dog in the foreground and buildings in the back. It looks like Clifford the Big Red Dog in some sense. People in the background, really, really tiny, and the dog sitting in the foreground there. Now, it's nothing magnificent, I know, but it's just fun to play around with those angles. Here's a dog on a beach, and you can see, or on a pier at a beach, and here he's gigantic compared to his two little people there. So I want to play around today with that idea of playing with scale, so scale being size versus the size of something else. So we know that people are typically larger than dogs, although I did find a video with the 10 largest dogs in the world. And the largest dog, at least in modern times, weighed about 300 and I think 50 pounds, a giant English Mastiff. But most of the dogs that were considered the biggest dogs in the world were Great Danes. And they were considered the biggest. They were most of them didn't get over 200 pounds, which is a gigantic dog. But they were in length, so 7.5 feet, 7 feet long, if they stood upright or from tail to head. So I want to play with that idea. I'm going to work with this image, I think, because I really kind of like that dog looking ahead. And I'm going to play around with just scale today. So I'm going to work horizontally here on my page. And I'm just going to lay out this quick image. I'll come back into it later. I was talking with an artist at Oakwood this week, and we were talking about the use of line. And I hope you can see that. When I'm in a naturally lit room and using the computer to record with, it seems like the light fluctuates. So I'm hoping that you can see this okay. So back to the artist at Oakwood. We were talking about the use of line. And we talked about how line can make us younger if we're drawing people, or line can make us look older. And the use of lots of sketchy, scribbly lines in humans can make us look old. That ages us. It looks like wrinkles, right? And when we refine the line, when we refine the line, it makes us younger. So just a very, very simple trick. If you are drawing yourself throughout the ages and you're drawing yourself now, which I did the other day, I have lots of wrinkles. You can all see them really, really clearly, right? I have them everywhere. And I think I mentioned before, I once worked for a doctor. He was a plastic surgeon. I wasn't working at his practice. I was his nanny. And he told me not to smile so much because I was going to regret it when I got into my 40s. Well, I don't think I can think back over my life and ever regret the smiles that I've had or the laughs that I've had. And I think that our lines, our aging, that is just a part of who we are. So what does that have to do with this dog? Absolutely nothing. But I'm my lines are reminding me of the lines that the artist and I talked about being really sketchy and a lot of movement in it. Now with a dog, that really works, right? And it works with anything. We can draw anything with lines like that, especially if it's the style we like to work in. Um, but so what I thought about was that when it comes to people, when we clean up those lines and make them a little bit refined and defined, then it can make a person look younger. So if you're working on images of yourself as a younger person, clean up those lines. If you find like, hey, making myself look aged in these, clean up the lines. And I was drawing myself now, and I'm like, oh, look at all those lines. And so I was able to create myself the way I look today, and with lots and lots of lines. So I've got this dog started. I've got his people in the background here posing with him, and they're very, very tiny. But I love that idea of playing with this. And sometimes these are just images that, randomly happen. You don't realize until you're looking through your photos later, like, wow, look at that dog, it's gigantic. Or look at that, how that tree looks, amazingly small. There's another great one on the computer, if I can find it, where there's this dog that looks so gigantic compared to its owner. And you think, is that possibly real? And really, it's just the angle they took the picture at. And I'm not going to find it, but I think it's a Great Dane, and the Great Dane is standing down down the photo from the owner, who's up here, and the dog is down here, and the dog looks gigantic. Now, of course, we know there are gigantic dogs, but this is not it. But this is another of those. Oh, this is a Photoshop photo, but you can see that gigantic dog walking next to his owner. That's a photoshopped image, but some of these photos that we find, like the one I'm working from here, you know that it's just the camera angle. So I've got my people in the background that look mini, and I got my big, huge dog in the front. So I could keep working with that, or I could leave it just the way it is. And I'm getting better at just being okay with quick sketches, because I'm finding that I don't have a lot of time to go back in and rework a lot of the things that I'd like to rework anyways. I'm not making time for that. So it's okay, because all of the images that we make us stronger artists, and they help us express ourselves. It's like they have a sand castle back here. I've been really into just putting in trees, so I'm going to make this along a shoreline, because I'm sure it's along a shoreline somewhere. Okay, so that's my last day of perspective. I want to also talk real quickly, briefly, about art supplies, because I don't think we ever have enough, especially in times when we can't have access to the things that we need. And sometimes we just never have access to the things that we need. We might be stuck in our room and not have even a pencil sharpener when our pencil breaks. So I just wanted to show you this quickly, what I made last night. I was working on cleaning up pastels, because they get pretty dirty over time. Like they all gather the dust of other pastels. So I was cleaning up the pastels I was going to work with a client, And I thought, I'm going to clean up these pastels before he comes in. And I used this piece of Bounty paper towel. So I just started cleaning up my pastels by rubbing them on here, and they started to just create some pretty beautiful colors to me. So I then went in and worked it a little bit more, and I created this scene right here. I love this part right here because I just put 4 faint black lines and I just smudged it, and it looks like fall trees to me up here, and I love that a lot. And I put in this little house and a hill, and then it became a body of water to me and a sunset. So you don't need a lot to make art happen. So I hope you're making art happen in your life. And keep in mind, we're at day 78, and we're gonna go until day 100, which will be September 15th. And then the following week, we're gonna try to get together, anyone who has access to Zoom, we're gonna try to get together and share our sketchbooks. And then we'll do it again in the spring when we can actually get together, come share our sketchbooks and our ideas and our findings from all of these 100 days of sketching together. Okay, have a fantastic day. I hope you did some perspective in your drawing this week, some linear lines and perspective. And I will see you back here next week where we answer the questions that come through our art. Okay, have a great weekend. See you soon.